Good morning, wherever this finds you on this fine Black Friday 2017. It occurred to me the other day I never did the overview video of my electronics like I promised I was going to. So I thought I would take a minute and take you through how I set up my 516. Now this is the Alpha bird. This is the bird that I've been flying since, late August, early September. I was privileged enough to help Matt do the final production candidates before releasing the team kits. This is that helicopter. This is not the frame we built on camera. That frame is still in the various stages of deciding what we're going to do with it. But this is the complete. This is the flying bird. If you've seen my flying videos, this is it. This bird has got well over 100 flights on it now. I did just recently change out the boom for the carbon fiber boom. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I thought I would first take you through a couple of things. Now, in the build video, I did not videotape mounting the electronics. A couple of reasons. One, ultimately, there are a lot of good options for this helicopter. Obviously, the recommended electronics are there for a reason. They're proven, they're tested, they're known to work. The setup was designed around them. But there are still several good options for servos and speed controllers and batteries. And I didn't want to try to sway anyone's opinion there, so I did not film mounting those. In this video, though, I will take you through what I used, the setup I have, as well as my overall configuration. So let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, as you can see, I have taken the canopy off. My overall setup's pretty straightforward. I'm running rail 516 main blades, rail 80.6 tail blades. That's the standard blade combination for this helicopter. I am running the factory recommended Castle Tile 90 with the internal BEC set at 8 volts. This guy has been absolutely bulletproof. The only guys who are having troubles with overheating this 90 are doing one of two things wrong. They're either not gearing it correctly for their head speed, or they're cutting off airflow circulation to the speed controller. Gearing and optimum headroom for the governor is incredibly important. If you are running a stock 18-tooth pinion, you need to be flying between 2650 and 2700 RPM. That is going to put your castle in the 90% throttle output range, which is going to really make the speed controller happy. You can beat on it all day long at 2650, 2700 and never shut it down. If you are like me and prefer 2500 to 2400 RPM, I strongly recommend the 17-tooth pinion. If you prefer 23 to 24, I recommend the 16-tooth pinion. That's just going to keep the speed controller happy. Now, I know a lot of speed controllers out there, like the Hobby Wing and the Contronic, have things like active freewheeling, which will allow you to run lower RPMs on different gearings. That's great. If you have a speed controller that supports that, knock yourself out. If you're running a Castle or a line product or something that does not have proven active freewheeling, definitely want to pay attention to your gearing. I am running in mine RC Pro Plus D6 battery connectors. I've got these on all of my helicopters now. I really love them. The batteries I am running are the Pulse 45C 4500 milliamp 6-cell packs. These guys run really well. I have played with the battery tray configuration a couple of different ways. This is my second pack. I have another pack that the strap is running long ways through this slot. I actually find that's easier overall. With this pack, sometimes these side straps can snag on the frame going in. If you put a little Velcro here, and strap the battery this way, there's absolutely zero frame interaction. And you can see the battery tray is that easy. You can access it quickly with one finger. Pulls in and out. Piece of cake. Alright, set this over here out of my way. Moving on to the servos. Like I said in the beginning, I am running the factory recommended MKS 9767 high volt mini servos. I have them hard mounted. Servos that we know will fit here. The MKS are a direct fit. They are the servos the helicopter was designed around. We used those specifications on bolt spacings and offset. There are lots of options that work though. There are a series of experts mini servos that bolt right in. There are a series of KST servos that bolt right in. There are a couple other options that fit if you are willing to do a little adjustment. For example, the Futaba mini servos are a great spec servo for this helicopter, but they have a slightly different bolt pattern here. So you do need a slightly larger washer on your M2.5 to capture the tab on the servo properly. If that, something like that doesn't bother you, run the Futabas, run the JRs all day long, go for it. The BK servos, great option for this helicopter from a spec perspective, but the servo spline, servo horn offset is different. The tabs are further back on the servo than the MKS or the JRs. So if you're going to run those, you will need a 4mm spacer behind each of these bolts to bring the servo back a little bit. Otherwise, your geometry on your links will not be vertical. Again, simple change, not a big deal. If you want to run BKs, just make sure you order some 4mm brass spacers or stack up your servo shims. You just got to make sure that your linkage is as close to vertical as possible. Perfectly vertical is ideal. Servo horns, there's another one I get a lot of questions on. There are a lot of good options here. These are the supplied horns that came with my NKS servos. They are at 13.5mm, which is shorter than the factory recommendation. We strongly recommend 14 to 17, 15 being the optimum spot. The SAB carbon infused plastic horns offer a 15mm hole perfectly. The Dubro super strength plastic arms offer a 16mm hole, works fantastic. The the Mikado carbon infused plastic horns offer a 16mm hole, works fantastic. You just want to make sure you're in that 14mm, 17mm range. Every flybarless has a different geometry optimum that works, so you'll want to consult the forms for your particular gyro. But in general, 15 to 16mm has proven to be ideal on CGY, V-bar, and Icon. On the tail, I am running the MKS HBL 980 tail servo. This is a high volt 760 center pulse tail servo. It's a fantastic tail servo. I'm going to tell you right now, the argument over mini versus full size cyclic servos is moot, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of discussion online. Why didn't Matt put full size servos on here? There are some other models in this size range that use. Now listen, here's the reality. 5-6 years ago, mini servo stats were a fraction of what they are now. When you look at some of the other models that have been on the market for a few years, when those models were designed, mini servos on a disc this size with hard 3D weren't going to cut it. They needed full size. These MKS servos have the same torque as a lot of the 90 size servos we run. They have more torque and are faster than most of the full size servos we ran just 4 years ago. So I personally very glad he went with mini servos, save a little bit of weight, get some flexibility in the setup. Cyclic servos, that's a moot point for me. That argument holds no water with me anymore, using a quality modern mini servo. On the tail, however, I'm sorry. I 100% agree with Matt. Full size tail servo, 760 center pulse, nice, quick, responsive, narrow band tail servo is a must on any helicopter above a 450. And you should run a narrow band on your 450. The flybarless, they're just designed for it. They're designed to have a narrow band servo. Why servo manufacturers are still selling 15, 20 center pulse tail servos, I don't know. Sorry, I have no leniency one way or the other on servos. I ran them all, but you will always find a narrow band tail servo on my helicopters. Talking about speed control, but I forgot to note on the motor, I am running the factory recommended Scorpion 4020 1350 kV. This is the HK3, the newest version. It's a 5mm shaft with a 5mm bearing for the pinion support. Well, last thing to talk about here is going to be the carbon fiber boom. As you can see, or you might be able to tell in the video, but I am running the carbon fiber boom. This is a recent release of Matt's. Hesitant to call it an upgrade because they're certainly not necessary, but it's a really cool option for guys wanting to really make their model their own. The carbon fiber is a solid carbon fiber weave that does not have an aluminum core, which doesn't make it quite a bit lighter than the stock aluminum boom. Does bring some obvious options there for guys who are wanting to run really lightweight setups and some small packs, like some guys out there running 3100s and 3500 milliamp packs. This boom is going to make CG a little easier for them. The guys who run the recommended 4100 to 4500 to 5000 milliamp packs, it's not really necessary. But lighter is always better. This carbon fiber boom has proven to be really strong. We're hoping the public likes them. Other than that, this helicopter's been an absolute workhorse. I talked about it briefly earlier. I'll go through it again. I am running 3 head speeds. My primary head speed is 2500, 2550 range. Do have a 2600 idle 3, but I'm running the 17 tooth pinion. I have a 2300 RPM program for little stuff, but I don't stay there too long. It's a little low gearing for the little low RPM for the Talon. But like I said, my primary is 2500, 2550 range. 17 tooth pinion makes that perfect. That's pretty much it, guys. The about 12 degrees of pitch. With the stock 20 tooth tail pulley. The helicopter just runs great. I haven't had any complaints at all. This model right here has well over 100 flights. Absolutely problem free. Both the prototypes, Matt and Rob's, between the two of them are pushing 1,000 flights without any problems. This has just been an absolute bulletproof heli. I'm really glad to have been involved in the later testing of this guy. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Synergy 516 walkthrough of my setup and thought processes on things. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more flight videos and pictures of you guys flying this bad boy. It's been a great addition to the fleet. Hope you guys like it.